So what is up, you beautiful buggers? Welcome back to Budget Cars and Bikes. Welcome back to the MT10 SP. We've had it a little while now. I've done a few miles on it. I've gotten to know it quite well, I think. So if you're interested in finding out what I think of it from an owner's perspective, not just a quick test ride, stick around and we'll get into it. Okay, so as I said, we've had the bike for a little while now and I've done a few hundred miles on it. I've ridden it on the motorways, I've ridden it on B roads, I've had a bit of a blast, ridden it in anger, as I like to say. So I feel that I'm now in a position that I can tell you from an owner's perspective what I think of it, and from an older owner's perspective what it's like to own one of these hyper naked bikes that's 165 horsepower in a relatively small bike. There are a few things that niggle me, I have to say. A few things I love, of course. I mean, what's not to love? It's the MT10 SP, the Gen 2. It's an amazing bit of kit. But there are a couple of things that irk me slightly. And I'm not sure if it's just this bike or if it's all the MTs or whether I'm just being a fussy old bastard. But I have noticed, although the quick shifter is sublimely good, I've never really gotten on with the auto blipper downshifter, as it were. I don't know whether it's me or whether I just expect too much from it. So I won't go into too many details about that, but the upshift is sublime, as I said, really, really buttery smooth. Better than the Speed Triple RS 1200, I think. Talking of things that I think, do try to bear in mind this is just my opinion. I'm not a professional motorcycle rider, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just an old boy who loves his bikes and has been riding for 40 years, and I'll give you an honest opinion of what I feel. So, bear that in mind in the comments if you would, please. But yeah, going back to the gear change, as it were, as I said, the quick shifter is sublime, it's beautiful. But I do find that in traffic, in town, as it were, the first couple of gears, using the gearbox with the clutch, it's a really weird experience. It seems very sticky, and that could well be that the bike's only done 1,400 miles, of course. Maybe it needs kind of running in that respect. I've never had a bike with such little mileage on it, so it's hard for me to know. But it feels, especially going down the box, if you're going down the gears, as it were, because as I said, I don't particularly like using the auto blipper, especially not in town, it's stupid. But if you're going down a couple of gears at traffic lights, that kind of stuff, it feels like it's sticking. You've got to really kind of get it in there. It's not a nice little click, clunk into the gear. It's really stiff and sticky, like it's in like hard glue or something, which is unexpected. But as I said, it could well be that it just needs, bedding in. I'm not sure. Anyway, that was my first kind of irk, shall we say. Not so much a disappointment, just something to notice. That when you do use the clutch, I mean, maybe the clutch needs a little bit of adjustment. I don't know, but on this bike it irks me, as I said. That's the one thing. The second thing is the dash. And although it's a really nice dash, I don't understand why you've got this huge bit of real estate on the borders out here just for a couple of idiot lights, as we call them, and then a tiny, what's that, a 4-inch screen? It seems a little bit odd to me to not take up all that real estate. I mean, Ducati managed to do it, so it just basically means that the screen you have got, the usable screen, is tiny, and there's a lot of information on this screen that you might want to, just refer to. I.e., is the quick shifter on? Are you in the right mode? Are you in the right power setting? Have you got your traction control where you want it? How much petrol have you got? The revs, your speed. Well, there's a lot of information down there, and it's all crammed into this tiny little kind of 3.5, 4-inch space, which I think could be better. Another thing, which I think I touched on in the initial video to this, was this bloody clutch cable here. It's really, I mean, you'd think it's such a small thing, but it's a real pain in the arse getting your key in and out of there, but you've got to kind of climb over it. Even if you're stood by the side of the bike, you've got to kind of, wiggle your hand in there to get the key in there. Yeah, I don't like that. The mirrors are absolutely bloody useless, the stock mirrors. I mean, the left-hand one, not so bad, but the right-hand one, you've just got to constantly pull your elbow in to see what's behind you, which, again, pain in the arse. Easily fixable, I know, but still it irks. Talking of things that irk me, the power outlet down here, as they call it. It's, I'm hoping we can do this without falling off. It's, it's a cigarette lighter. I mean, what the actual is going on there? a cigarette lighter socket on a motorcycle. Why the hell didn't you just put a couple of USBs in there? Who do you think is going to be using a cigarette lighter socket on a motorcycle? You're going to be using it to charge up stuff, surely. Ergo, you need USB sockets. So what you actually have to do there is get yourself an adapter, which is going to stick up to about here. Yeah, no, why? What's that about? So that's, yeah, another little irk. Not a whinge, just I don't understand it. And the next one is lack of Bluetooth. Now, on most modern bikes, especially at this kind of price, we're talking 16 grand out the door, brand new, there's no Bluetooth. So you cannot connect up your phone via your headset to the dash and play music like you can on most modern bikes these days. Yeah, you can play it through your phone, through your headset on your helmet. Of course you can do that on any bike, I guess. It's just I don't understand why it doesn't have a built-in app, as it were, because the BMW 1250 GS, that had a BMW app where you basically told the bike where you punched it in on your phone on the app, connected your phone to your bike, and then you had sat-nav on the screen. Perfect, really nice. Means you don't have to get a phone mount and actually use your phone, as it were. And even the Multistradas do that. So again, 16 grand, brand new bike, it's only 10 months old. Where's my Bluetooth? Where's my integrated sat-nav app? Why don't you have one? It feels almost like they scrimped a little bit on certain things that most modern bikes have, which I don't understand because it's not a cheap bike. So yeah, don't worry, this video is not going to be all about me whinging about the things I don't like. There are a few things I do like as well. And we are going to jump off and I'll give you a last walk around just so you know. It's just those are the things that irk me that I found over the last couple of weeks, or few weeks and few hundred miles, that have unexpectedly irked me. Now the good stuff, it's an MT10 SP, what can I say? It is fabulous. It is probably the most fun bike I've ever owned for a naked, a hyper naked, super sport naked, whatever you might want to call it. It is a huge amount of fun. You can just pootle around like I'm doing now at 45 miles an hour in fifth gear. It'll sit here doing this all day if that's what you prefer to do on that specific day. It'll cruise down the motorway at 70, 80 miles an hour with the cruise control, with surprisingly little vibration as well. Being that it's a 4-cylinder bike, normally you get a few little issues with vibration on motorway speeds compared to a V-twin or a triple. This has none of that. I can quite happily sit at 75 miles an hour on the motorway on this, and it's just, yeah, effortless. I do love the fact that it's got all this tech on here as well. So don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like the tech or the dash per se. It's just I think it could have been reworked slightly better for me. Maybe I'm just an older rider and they don't consider that we're going to buy these bikes. I don't know. But the tech is amazing. It's got everything you'd need except for the Bluetooth functionality and an app where you can use the screen for maybe a little bit of sat-nav. Maybe they did that because the screen's so small. So if they address the size of the screen or the usable, workable, viewable size of the screen, they could actually slip in an app with GPS on it. I don't know. It's just, it would be nice. Because I think you could easily tour on this. There is dedicated luggage for the MT10, or you could just throw over some soft panniers quite easily. And it's a lovely riding position. For me, I'd like to be slightly back, maybe even just a centimetre or two, but you know, it's not a killer. But touring-wise, going into that, the seat is hard. There's no getting away from it. You would need a comfort seat, I think, if you were going to do any kind of longer journeys. So I'm not going to put that down in the negatives, the fact that the seat's hard. It's just an observation if you're thinking about using it to tour. It's great that it's got cruise control. It's great that you can adjust all the suspension as to where you would like it. I've got it set up in the most comfortable at the moment, but in power mode 1 and mode 1, I think. No, mode A. So you can B-Road Blast on it, you can commute on it, you can tour on it, and you can do this on it. Which, trust me when I say, it never gets boring. That sound is just addictive. It's like nothing else I've ever ridden. And it just keeps pulling. Just when you think, okay, I better change gear, you suddenly get a kick in the arse and it just keeps throwing you down the road. It's actually quite scary, if I'm honest. But fun scary, you know. Not like, oh my God, I've got to sell this bike, I'm going to kill myself. Although, it's an entire possibility, God forbid. It's also got this incredible bark. It's hard to explain. If you're using the quick shifter to go up the gears, if you get it to a certain rev, like I think it's probably 5,000 or 6,000, as you quick shift, it just goes bark, bark, bark. And it's, it's just so much fun. You might have noticed it on that last pull we did, but the DJ mic needs to be a little bit closer to the exhaust, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you know, just cruising around Cornwall, 50 miles an hour, fourth gear. And then you can do that and you're up to 70 miles an hour in literally less time than it takes to say 70 miles an hour. It's just so much fun. But it's not a unicorn bike, not for me. I've had a lot of fun on it, and I think it looks amazing, sounds amazing. And I think if you spend a little bit of money on it, and maybe if you could forgive it some of its little quirks, as in the things that I pointed out, then yeah, it is a great bike, as in a really great bike. But I've been spoilt, I think, with the GS1250 and the Multistradas in the respect that, you know, you can just type in where you want to go and the screen will tell you turn by turn. There's no heated grips on this as well. I forgot to mention that. There are no heated grips. So if you want heated grips, you'd actually have to put a set of Oxford on here, which, I don't know about you, I hate Oxford heated grips. I know they're very functional, but they look butt ugly in my opinion. And they should have had them on here. So no Bluetooth, no heated grips. A cigar socket for your power. The mirrors are crap, the seats rock hard. And if I'm honest, even on the softest ride, going over bumps, it is stiff. It's still real stiff. Not as bad as the Speed Triple 1200 RS, but you know, I can go over a road like this and I can feel it through my arse. You know, it does jolt you about, and as I said, this is the softest setting. So I think these bikes are more aimed... God, look at that view, isn't that just something? Jeez. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, these bikes are aimed at younger riders who want to go out on the weekend and just literally blam about and have a really good few hours with their friends, stop for some lunch and then ride home. That's where the market is, I think, for these kind of hyper nakeds. I'm not sure longer touring would be that comfortable, but maybe with a touring seat and a slight bar riser, kind of lean back, I don't know. But then you're throwing money at it, aren't you? And it's already bloody expensive. I personally think it should have come with an app for your Bluetooth GPS. It should have come as standard with the comfort seat. I don't understand why they haven't put a comfort seat on it. I mean, if you sell a comfort seat, you know that's because your seat's bloody uncomfortable. Ergo, that's why you sell a comfort seat. The clue's in the name, really, isn't it? Is this like the uncomfort seat that you buy, and then you have to buy the comfort seat to actually go more than an hour at a time? Seems strange. As I said, there's a lot of things to love and there's a lot of things that irk me, and there's a lot of things I don't quite understand. But generally speaking, the MT10 is an amazing bit of kit, an amazing bit of technology. It sounds like nothing else on earth, and I think if you bought one, you wouldn't be disappointed if you could put up with, as I said, the things that I've already pointed out. Anyway, we're going to jump off in a second, and I will give you a quick walk around. You'll have to forgive me because the bike is a little bit grubby. It's done nothing but bloody rain for the last week. So this is the first sunny day, hence why we're out, and I think most of the bikers in Cornwall are out. Anyway, as I said, we're going to jump off and we'll give you a little walk around again. Just before we pull in, guys, I just had to turn around there, and I forgot to mention the turning circle is bloody awful. Quite frankly, it's really, really difficult to turn this bike around in small spaces. The turning circle is shockingly bad. Not a negative, don't slag me off, I'm just pointing it out in case anybody wanted to know. Okay, so there she is, guys, the MT10 SP. This is the Gen 2, of course, the 2023 with 1,400 miles. Those are some of the things, as I said, that I find that are a little bit irksome for me, and the things that I really, really like about it. I did forget to mention the turning circle. I think I've just done that. It is non-existent, quite frankly, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. And the one last thing, while I think of it, because I just noticed it, there's no range to empty. You can't have, like, the bars to show you how much petrol you've got and then a range to empty. There's no option for that. There's just the bars on the tank, and it'll tell you how far you've got, so there's no range to empty either. So yeah, another little quirky, irksome thing that it doesn't annoy me, it's just I don't quite understand why all that technology on there and information that you probably won't need day-to-day riding, but they don't tell you how much petrol you've got until you're going to run out. Go figure. Anyway, that is it. That is mine MT10 SP. I've really enjoyed owning it. Guess what? Big shocking surprise. I'm not keeping it. I know. And why am I not keeping it? Well, I'm not keeping it because I think, as I said previously, it is for slightly younger riders. I was going to do a kind of promotion with Pyramid Plastics. I was going to get a new rear hugger, a new belly pan, a seat cowl, a new visor for the front, as in a little bikini fairing. I was going to get all that stuff, bar end mirrors. I was going to go balls out with it. And then I thought, whoa, hold on a minute. Have it a couple of weeks or a few weeks, do a few hundred miles, then see where you are. And I'm glad I did that, because I've decided it's probably not my daily, as it were. I think I need a few more little things at my age. I'm 58 this year, as some of you may know. And I think I need a few other little things. And this bike, trust me, it makes you ride like a twat, basically. You just constantly want to hear that cross-plane crank engine. You want to hear that barking when you're powering away and using the quick shifter. It's really addictive. You don't want to be doing what we've just been doing, basically, 50 miles an hour on a Cornish B road. You want that front wheel up, and you want that thing to bark at you and sing at you and do all the things it does incredibly well. And yeah, as I said, it makes you ride a little bit silly sometimes. It's not for pootling about. And I'm a 58-year-old pootler these days, and although I can have fun on this, it's either going to kill me, or I'm going to crash it, or I'm going to get arrested and lose my license. So, you've got to bear these things in mind. If you're happy with that and you're a little bit younger, great, get one. I mean, even if you're my age and you want to try one, yeah, get one. Why not? They're dropping in prices now, of course. They were around about 16 grand out the door. I paid, I think it was with Part X deals and all the rest of it, I think this owes me about 13 and a half, something like that. I'm going to get my money back from this, so that's not a problem. It's not been a loss, which is always a bonus. I've experienced it. I've compared it to the Speed Triple 1200 RS, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I've wanted to ride an MT10 for a long time, and now I have, and I've got my opinions on it. And maybe in a few years' time, if I'm still riding, I'll go and get another one. But I don't think I need the SP, because the suspension is still too hard for me. I don't ride round corners on my knee, and I think the normal version would have been perfectly fine for me, and a hell of a lot cheaper, although this does look spectacular. Anyway, that is it from Budget Cars and Bikes. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really, really would appreciate it. We're over 10,000 subs now. Give this video a like, a share, and a thumbs up. That really, really helps the old algorithm as well. And follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram as well, where we post things now and again on there as well. And if you like this kind of content, as I said, we also do other things. We do salvage rebuilds. We do camper van conversions. We do budget cars, oddly enough, considering we're called Budget Cars and Bikes. And I promise, if some of you long-term subscribers are wondering why we're going up in price when we've been doing cheaper bikes, we will be going back to some cheaper bikes. I just really wanted to tick this off my bucket list and say I'd had an MT10, especially the SP, because I think it's one of those things where if you buy the normal one, you'll always wonder about the SP. My suggestion would be you ride them both if you can as a test ride, but you'll probably find you don't actually need all the suspension tech that it's got on there. If you do, great, buy the SP. If not, get the other one with the bluey green wheels, because that's a handsome bike as well. Anyway, I digress. We will be doing cheaper bikes soon, I promise. We've got one more expensive bike to go, I think, and then I'm going to go back to the more budget options, which is where our roots began. I just wanted to tick a few of these bikes off my bucket list, and I think we're pretty much there now, and we're going to go back to more affordable bikes, shall we say. As I said, from Budget Cars and Bikes, I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Ride safe, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. Take care, guys.